Hello everyone! Huskeyninja here with a deck overview video for you guys. But before that, a little bit of Weiss Schwarz news. And that is that the Frieren Beyond Journey's End is getting a reprint. This was announced on August 1st of 2025. So this year. And I think it's because of how many people have been buying it that they're just like, oh, let's quickly do a reprint. I've not known a set to have a reprint this quickly. I know older sets tend to get a reprint like a year or two, sometimes more after the set's been out. Like in the case of Konosuba. A lot older sets, and even with Attack on Titan, when sets 1 and 2 got reprinted before the final set came out, which was set 3. But they put here, thank you for the continuous support of Weiss Schwarz. It's time to catch up with Frieren, Fern, and Stark on their journey. Due to popular demand, we're excited to announce that pre-orders for the reprint of the Frieren Beyond Journey's End booster pack has begun. Be sure to check out your nearest local game store. Please do support your local game stores, everyone. For more information, please know that this round of reprint, all hot stamped SP cards will feature unique silver prints in place of the original gold. Additionally, the card and topper playmats will not be included. So it's basically them switching out the gold foil they get on sign cards for silver, and if you order by your basically like boxes with like loads of booster boxes in there, you will not get the game mat this time around. But it is good to see that they're noticing what sets people are really after. It's still surprising that it's gone a reprint this soon. I have no idea how it's going to affect the resale of singles, but time will tell. So, without further ado, we have my RWBY deck. I have altered it a little. I still can't get my hands on anything that's premium, though. That's the pain. But without further ado, we will have a look. Is this a quick look over? And you can see some things are the same, some things have changed. But we'll start with level 3s, which are basically the same except for with the quantity. I have worked hard to try and make this deck more compressed than it was. Lowered the amount of cards. I wasn't really using that often. Sadly, I only have one of this crow here, which is the level 2 backup. But I worked with what I have. So, starting off, we have 2 copies of Yang Vital Festival. When this is placed on the stage from your hand, look up to 3 cards on the top of your deck. Choose 1 card among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest into your waiting room. And climax combo, with the climax card falling into a trap. When that climax card is placed on your climax area, and this card's in your center stage, choose one of your other characters, and that character gets the following ability to the end of turn. Although, this ability activates up to 1 per turn. When damage dealt by this card is cancelled, you may deal 2 damage to your opponent. Damage may be cancelled. It is a 2 soul, but she's mostly in there really for the climax combo, as well as if I can't get any other level 3s out. Plus it's my girl Yang. But her second ability, as long as you have the climax card, it is really good. For example, you can have like the level 2 Young One Welcomed, or the trial deck level 2 Blake, or any level 3 is out, and you can have it basically give extra punch when you go to attack. Next, we have 2 copies of Salem. This gets 1,000 power for each character in your opponent's backstage. So as long as your opponent has their backstage full, you're good. And auto, pay 1. When this is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of the following effects and perform it. And you get the choice of either one of these 2 abilities. The first one is your opponent puts all their stock into their rain room, puts the same number of cards from the top of their deck into their stock. This is a way to try and make sure that their climaxes that they will need for cancelling are sent there, as well as in the hopes of some of your opponent's best cards being sent to their stock. Because your opponent is not allowed to look at those cards. And one that I love, which I do play often, is put the bottom 5 cards of your opponent's deck into their rain room, deal X damage to your opponent. X is equal to the number of climax cards amongst these cards. So your opponent will send 5 cards from their deck to the rain room, and for example, best hopes is all 5 cards are climaxes. That's 5 damage. If there are no climax cards, there's no damage. So it's just about, you get the extra bit of damage depending on how many climax cards you force your opponent to send to the rain room from the top of their deck. No, it's the bottom 5 cards. My apologies. But bottom 5 cards from their deck, it means you lower the likelihood of them being able to have a climax card towards the bottom to cancel damage, in the hopes of you can then basically force your opponent to have to basically refresh, and then they get the refresh damage. As long as you have 2 or 3 of this card on your stage and you do that, you're good. Next, we have the trial deck Yang Enraged. When this card is placed from your hand, or placed on the stage from your hand, you may put the top card of your clock into your rain room. So this card is my only healer in my deck. But I just love the fact of it's Yang with her eyes red. And auto, pay 1, put 1 card from your hand into your rain room. When this card attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, all your remnant characters get 500 power and assault at the end of turn. This ability, in conjunction with Yang Enraged, can help. Especially when you need the extra soul to get over something, or just to make sure you have that little extra damage. If you know the card facing it has an ability of, or if your opponent has a card that has ability that can lower the amount of soul you have when you attack, it gives sure you have a little bit extra just in case. That in conjunction with this card, where you can deal 2 damage to your opponent from 1 ability, is helpful. Especially at level 3. So that's the level 3s. Next, we are on to level 2s, which is still a majority of the deck, I think. There are 6 level 2s in total, and 5 level 1, so the majority of this deck is level 2 still. But we have 4 copies of Yang Warm Welcomed, which is from Season 2. If you have 2 or more other remnant characters, this card gets plus 3,000 power, making her as strong as a level 3. It's the same ability as the trial deck Blake, but with an extra added bone. Yes, this Yang costs more to play. She has an extra soul, but for the extra payment, you get a secondary ability, which is auto. Encore. Put 1 remnant character from your hand into your waiting room, and when this card is put in your waiting room from stage, You may pay the cost. If you do, return this in the previous position as rested. So instead of paying 3 to encore her, you just discard a character card you don't need from your hand to the waiting room. So we have 4 copies of that. Next, we have 2 copies of Yang Team RWBY, but the 2 alternative artworks. Like you can see here, we have the 2 alternative artworks for Raven. But I think today we'll just have the cool bullet artwork. During your turn, this card gets 1,000 power for each of your other remnant characters, which means you can get quite beefy. And auto, when this is placed on the stage from your hand, choose one character in your opponent's center stage, and that character gets 1,000 power to the end of your opponent's next turn. I do not like playing this card from hand purely for the second ability. I rather stand by her, because then you get the benefit of the first ability without any worry of the auto. Because to me, the auto ability, the only reason I would use it is basically play from hand is if I had nothing else. Other than that, if you have this card, play it using standby. Next, we have the level 2 standby Crow Bronwyn. Auto, pay 2. When you use this card's backup, you may pay the cost. If you do, return all cards in your waiting room into your deck and shuffle your deck. For paying 2 and using the card's backup, I think that's actually a handy thing, especially when you're really, really close to refreshing. And auto, backup of 2,500. Pay 1, put this card from your hand into your waiting room. Choose one of your characters that's been frontal attacked, and that character gets plus 2,500 power to the end of turn. So basically you can give your character an extra bit of oomph when you know you're going to get reversed. Because you'll be a little bit lower than your opponent, it just makes sure you will not get reversed. Plus, can we just admire the artwork? Plus, there's one student I just realized here who I never noticed before seems to be giggling. But I noticed from when Crow and Winter had their fight outside of Beacon Academy. Next up, we have 4 copies of Blake Battle Stance, which is the trial deck level 2, cost 1 soul, which has the same first ability, well, its ability is the same as the Yang One Welcomed level 2, which is if you have 2 or more other remnant characters, this card gets 3,000. I do run 4 copies of that card just because of how good it is. Now, this deck does have a couple of level slayers. Those who don't know what a level slayer is, welcome to Weiss Schwarz. Next up, we have... Next up, we have Uniform Weiss, which we have 2 copies of in this deck. Is a level 2, cost 1. Or continuous, this card gets 500 power for each remnant character in your backstage. Which isn't so bad when you have like times level assists. It's just that little extra 1,000 power oomph on top of what those cards will give. And when this card attacks, if the character faces card is level 3 or higher, this card gets plus 6,000 power until the end of turn. This one's handy against level 3s, and ones that become higher than level 3 because of abilities. I only have 2 copies of her in here, mostly because I wanted to have more Weiss and Blake, with a few other cards to help out, including Crow and Raven. But it is a really good level 2 card. Plus, I just like the fact of, is Weiss bored in class staring at the time? Next, we have the Trial Deck SR, which is the level 1 RWBY Teamwork. With this card attacks, if you have 2 or more other Remnant characters, this character gets plus 2,000 power to the end of turn. And Auto Climax Combo, when this card's battle point becomes reversed. If Initiation is in your Climax area, look up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 Remnant character from among them, reveal it to your opponent, and put into your hand. Put the remaining cards into your raid room. Choose one of your characters, and that character gets 2,000 power to the end of turn. And I run 2 copies of it in the same rarity. It is one of the 2 cards from the trial deck that use the same Climax card. It is a nice standard ability for a trial deck level 1. So sorry if you just heard music go by. And I just love the fact of you give one of your characters an extra 2,000 power. The Climax combo is just a nice extra little dusting on top, or a sprinkle on top, or a rose petal, just to help you get cards out and give an extra 2k to something. Plus, you don't pay cost for it. There are very few cards in this deck you pay cost. And it was like level 2 onward. Next, we have the 2 rarities of Raven. I think we'll go with one that shows her face. And interesting RWBY thing, I only just realized the other day. Raven, Coco, and Neo all wear the same necklace. So that was nice to learn when I was rewatching the seasons 1 to 3 of RWBY. An extra tip for you cosplayers. So if you struggle to find either of their necklaces as their standalone, just look up one or the other, and you're good. But we have here at the level 1 Raven Bronwyn, which was one of 2 RWBY cards. Well, 3 if I include the alternative artwork of this one. Sent to me by Base Damage. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out his channel as well. And I will put a link to his channel down below. But back onto the cards. When your Climax is placed on your Climax area, this card gets 1,500 power to the end of turn, which is its first auto. And second auto, when this card attacks, choose one of your other Remnant characters, and that character gets X power to the end of turn. X is equal to the number of other Remnant characters you have, times 500. So, like where you could guess some cards is like, once this card attacks, give another card 1,500 power, or an extra 500. This one is 500 times the amount of characters you have, as long as she attacks. So if you have 2 copies of her on the stage, and then, for example, excuse me, you have a character with 2 soul, or you have a level 0 out, it's just an extra boost on top, as well as can help out any slayers you have. You run 2 copies of that Raven card. Next, we have 3 copies of Blake Focus in Her Sights, which is a 1/1. Assist all your Remnant characters in front of this card gets plus X power. X is equal to that character's level times 500. So she's a nice level 1 assist card. And action, pay 1, put 1 Climax card from your hand in the rain room. Choose one of your Remnant characters in your rain room and return it to your hand. This is really helpful if you didn't have enough stock to stand by a character that got reversed on your side of the stage on your last turn. You can get this one out. or you can get it back to your hand this way. So it kind of works like a standby without being a standby, because you can't put it on your stage, but you get it to hand at least. Which I think is really good for getting out standby cards. Next up, we have one copy of Winter Schnee, which is a level 1. And it's another one of the cards that Base Damage sent me. So thank you so much, Cade. And when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, if you have another remnant character, this card gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. And auto, when this card attacks, if you have 2 or more other remnant characters, the character facing this card is level 2, this card gets 6,000 power to the end of turn. She is your level 2 Slayer. It is helpful to have her in there, just to help me when I'm stuck at level 1 or level 0 and I have nothing else to play. But I do have other cards on stage. She's just handy to have in there. Next, we have one copy of Yang Framed. If you have 2 or more other remnant characters, this card gets 1,000 power. And auto, pay 1, put 1 card from your hand into your main room. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 remnant character, reveal it to your opponent, and put in your hand and shuffle your deck. I mostly just play her mostly for her continuous ability. Especially early game if she's the only level 0 in my hand. Next, we have 2 copies of Yang Xiaolong. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a remnant character, choose one of your characters, and that character gets plus 2,000 power to the end of turn. Return the revealed card to its original place. And auto, when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose one of your other remnant characters and rest it, and move to an open position on your backstage. I mostly have that card in here, again, for the first ability. The second one is nice to have, especially when you know it's going to get reversed and at the time it's on your stage, and you're not having much luck with cards in your hand, is a nice way to get more cards out. Well, it's a nice way to get cards back to, well, just basically make sure she doesn't get reversed if she's only level 0 you have access to. Next up, we have 3 copies of Uniform Jean. Continuous, all your other remnant characters get 500 power. That means regardless where that card is on your stage, whether it be anywhere on your front row, center stage, back row, your cards again that 500 power. And auto, when you place a climax card on your climax area, choose one of your characters, and that character gets 1,000 power to the end of turn. So you're playing a 1-1, and you have 2 of this on your stage. That is basically 1,000 from the continuous. And then from between 2 Uniform Jeans, and then 1,000 each from those Uniform Jeans, just because you played a climax card. So a really good level 0, especially for an assist. Hence why I have 3 copies of them, because it doesn't dictate it has to be in front. Like here, where it only helps the cards that are in front of her. Next up, we have 2 copies of Crow Priorities. Continuous, all your opponent's characters get auto encore at the cost of 2. So you basically lower your opponent's encore cost from 3 down to 2. And auto, when this card's placed from the stage on the stage from your hand, you may choose one card in your hand and put it into your stock. He's mostly in here for the second ability. There have been many games I've had where I get to a level where I need stock, but I don't have enough stock to do anything. So he's a nice way to get some extra stock when needed. Next up, we have 4 copies of the trial deck Yang Free Falling. Continuous, if your stock is 2 or less cards, this gets 1,500 power. It's a really good standard level 0 card. I've noticed in more decks with level 0s with this ability. Like with Project Sakai's trial decks. With one of the Mako cards, it has this ability. Just because of how easy it is to use, and all you have to worry about is how much is in your stock. Next up, we have the PR card Blake and Yang New Uniforms, which I do love this card. When this card attacks, if all your characters are remnant, look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose 1 card among them, and put it on the top of your deck, and put the rest into your waiting room. In order, when this card becomes reversed in battle, if this card's battle opponent is level 0 lower, you may put that character at the bottom of your opponent's deck. I just like the artwork and the second ability more than anything. Plus, it's just handy to have in there for when I level up. Because that's where this card tends to end up when I play. Next up, we have 2 copies of A Childhood Memory. If you do not have a remnant character, this card cannot be played from your hand. But every card in the RWBY set, as long as it's a character one, its type in is remnant. You may choose 1 remnant character in your hand, put it into your waiting room. If you do, choose 1 Climax card from your waiting room and return it to your hand. This is a nice way to get standby cards that cancel damage, as well as door cards from your waiting room to your hand. Can we just appreciate that it's child Yang art? But now we are on to the Climax cards. First, we have 2 copies of Fallen into a Trap. All your characters get 1,000 power and a soul. And when this card triggers, you may choose a character with a soul trigger icon in your waiting room and return it to your hand or put it into your stock. This is a nice way of, when this card triggers, it lets you basically decide, do I want this one in my hand yet, or is it better off as stock for cards I will need to play or for abilities I need to use? And it is the one that is in a Climax combo with Yang Vital Festival. Next, we have 1 copy of Initiation. All your characters get 1,000 power and 1 soul. And Door, when this card triggers, you may choose 1 character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. I prefer this artwork over the normal artwork for it, just because of how simple it is, and it's very much given Red trailer vibes. Next, we have 3 copies of RWBY's Awakening. When this card is placed on your Climax area from hand, perform the effect, the standby effect. This happens whether you play it or you trigger it. When this card triggers, you may choose 1 card. You may choose 1 character with a level equal to or less than your level +1 in your waiting room and put it on any position of your stage as rested. This card, basically standby as a whole, is a good way, for example, like your level 1, you can get level 2s. Your level 2, you can get your level 3s out. And next we have both artworks of Team RWBY, which was this artwork, which is the rare, but it's also used for the supply set sleeves. But all your characters get 1,000 power and a soul, and when this card triggers, you may choose 1 Climax in your waiting room and return it to your hand. This is a good standard way of getting Climax cards out that you need. But I just love both artworks for it. Especially where Blake's giving one of them the side eye. I also think it's one of the rare times in the cards you actually see, well, with the base set, you're very rare you see Weiss smiling. So I class that as a smile. Even here, she looks so uncomfortable smiling. But that is my updated RWBY deck, which I've called Gold, after one of the Yang Xiaolong songs. So, until next time, hope you all have a good day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the rest of the videos here on my channel as well. And also don't forget to check out Base Damage as well in all of his videos too. So till next time, bye everyone!